A catch-22 at the state capitol today. Senate Budget Committee members called on the state DEP to speed up approvals for vital projects lawmakers say would help jumpstart New Jersey's ailing economy. But the head of the department says deep budget cuts are tying the agency's hands. State House correspondent Zachary Fink is at the Capitol in Trenton with more on today's budget hearing. Zach?
Well, Jim, that's exactly the point. The DEP is facing a cut of $50 million. At the same time, lawmakers are urging the DEP to get moving with permitting processes to get the economy rolling again. But Mark Moriello, the commissioner, countered that because of the budget cuts, because of a lack of personnel, and because of bureaucratic red tape, that is proving somewhat difficult. Environment correspondent Ed Rogers has our story.
After hearing more news about crashing state tax revenues from their committee chair, members of the Senate Budget Committee pressed Commissioner Mark Moriello to find ways to speed up the permitting process and make his department more business-friendly. Lawmakers wanted to know how the DEP could process a backlog of permits.
Quite frankly, we need to think as a business, and we haven't always done that. And I'm part of the agency. I know that because I've lived this my whole career. We have to become more business-like in how we operate.
The DEP will be allocating almost $213 million in federal stimulus funds for environmental projects, such as improving water treatment and sewage plants. Another possible part of stimulating the economy, a bill awaiting Governor Corzine's signature that would allow developers to hire private contractors or so-called licensed site professionals to oversee the cleanup of contaminated or brownfield sites. There are some 20,000 such sites around the state, and lawmakers wanted to know how quickly the DEP would be able to move if that program is established.
Let's assume the legislation it's signed by the governor tomorrow. Do you have a mechanism in place to say, okay, in the next 6 months or 12 months, we're going to reduce that 20,000 to 15,000. We're going to take 6,000 off a year, as they've done in other states. What's your plan?
The reason we got where we are today is just a matter of the 20,000 cases, some very, very complex cases, sensitive areas, and quite frankly, a reduction in our workforce over the past 10 or 15 years by 1,000 staff people. So, you know, we realize that. The answer to our problems isn't hiring more staff at DEP. The answer is looking at different programs, different ways of doing the business.
Moriello said his department would not be forced to close any state parks because of budget cuts, although it isn't part of the state budget process. The commissioner was asked about plans by the Army Corps of Engineers to move ahead with the controversial Delaware River deepening project. Senate Majority Leader Steve Sweeney brought up the project, citing concerns about the disposal of dredge materials. New Jersey environmental officials say they became aware several weeks ago that the Corps might move forward.
Is it true, though, because this is the bone of contention, that the Army Corps really doesn't need permits because they're like the parent, that the Army Corps supersedes the state of New Jersey's requirements?
The Corps' position, though, is that our approval granted in '97 constitutes our final approval for the project. Our position is obviously different, that there have been enough changes in the project. We are on record as stating that our position is we will require a separate approval for the new project to look at the impacts as proposed today.
Ed Rogers, NJN News, Trenton.